Hello there, and welcome to Thank the Maker, a podcast about heroes, princesses, scoundrels, hokey religions, ancient weapons, and all things Star Wars. I'm Adam Russell.
Hey guys, somehow I returned. I'm Ryan Keith.
Hey everyone, Nick Ganbarian here. And you guys there, what's up?
Somehow, everyone's returning. Left and right. So many returns. It's the return.
Man, I'm pumped to get into this episode.
It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
It is pretty dope.
Yeah, it was a special one.
I'm going to be honest. I'm usually really good about kind of like eating my cereal, doing whatever I'm doing, and getting situated and being 100% focused when I hit play. Today, I was not, and it got into it so fast. I was like, what? So,
I do feel like it was fast. If I could say anything, I'm not saying anything bad, whatever. It felt to me a little unearned, like we didn't earn it yet, but it was just there. You know, like we were kind of left with like the smallest crumb at the end of the last episode, and then it was here. It was like when we got Ahsoka right away in The Mandalorian. We're like, oh, it's happening right now. You know, like the first time we see her.
I don't want to take away from the intelligence of 7-year-old kids. Okay, I don't. I'm going to have a 7-year-old kid now in 7 years, and I hope he's wicked smart. But you know what you get what I'm getting at here? It's 20 minutes. You gotta go. Just it's like, hey, here's the next part of the story. Follow along. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, even though we're getting this unreal moment in the Bad Batch with a lightsaber, there's a giant sea monster. Like we're still living in this as 40-plus-year-old men enjoying something that's made for 7-year-olds. That's all. That's my only defense. Is that like
dude.
8-year-olds, dude? My defense would just be that like they got to get right into it. They have to. You know, it's like that slow burn isn't going to play with the younger audience.
Yeah, it's the balance. Hey, speaking of, is that a segue? Cool. So the entire episode takes place on Pabu. They finally said the M word. Omega may be force sensitive. More on that later. We get kind of a training montage. It was pretty sick. Nick, aside from the obvious, like, what was your big takeaway from this? What was your favorite part? What was the most hard hitting for you?
I mean, I just in general, I guess because she was just there right away, I was like, are they going to explain anything? And they didn't. So I was just real like, what? Not explain anything, but explain where she was, where she's been. So I guess maybe the rest of the season will kind of find things out, because I'm still thinking of the trailer and like we haven't seen Caleb Doom yet. So is there gonna be a force theme, like not theme, but a force theme for the rest of the season? Right. You know, like
a theme of the force.
Yeah, the theme of the force. So I mean, I dig it. I like kind of the fake out of Omega being force sensitive and having midichlorians. And then it seemed like that wasn't the case. But then I think Asajj kind of was vague at the end. She might have been lying, and I think Crosshair called her out on possibly lying about the midichlorian count. So, I liked it. I just think that it just, like I said earlier, I think it struck a little bit of a nerve with me, because I think in my head, Mandalorian season 3, there was some really cool things that happened that I didn't feel like we earned getting them. And this reminded me of that a little bit, where it was just like, wow, this is really cool, but where did this come from? So that's where Asajj and Ryan, you're right. You know, it's a 26-minute show. You know, it's like you just got to get into it. So yeah, it was cool. It just makes me more excited. Next week's a double episode, so probably means something awesome's coming.
Teeing it up. Yeah, definitely more debate to come on whether or not she's force sensitive, what Asajj's intentions are, all kinds of stuff a little later in the episode. Ryan, before you give your initial thoughts,
I've just got like word vomit. You're gonna have to tell me to stop talking. I have so many thoughts.
While you're word vomiting, pull up the note if you don't already have it, because since we're missing one Mike Forster because his parents are in town doing old people stuff. I think
his parents said no podcasting, kid.
Yeah. That's enough of that kid crap. This might be your night for stolen plans, Ryan Key. So pull that up.
Hold on. Let me get there, because my iPhone had a real adventure last night and this morning, and I spent 2 hours in the Apple Store today.
Oh, good times.
But I think I got it. Season 3, episode. Wait. Why does it say episode 13? That's the one, right?
That's the one. It's just wrong.
Okay.
Right,
Okay. Note is open, but is this where you want me to talk about stuff? Not my I love you, I know, but my impressions of the episode.
Yeah, give us your initial thoughts.
Opening this document requires an internet connection. What are you talking about?
It's
Hi, guys.
2024, dog.
Hi guys. This is the first time I've ever been on the internet. My
First
cloud
timers club.
drive. TTM things. Dude, I'm really sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, except that my phone. I spent 2 hours in the store today, and it's clearly still not happy yet.
Have you tried throwing it against the wall?
Season 3, episode 9. There we go.
I fixed it.
Your device couldn't connect to the server, which is amazing because I'm on the internet talking to you. So
I put it in the chat if you want to read it from the chat.
no, you didn't, because I didn't get it.
No, on the StreamYard chat.
Okay, got it. Stolen plans.
Technology. Initial thoughts.
All right. Well, I'm
Reactions.
gonna be winging it the rest of the episode because I have no note because I don't know why it's telling me I'm not connected to the internet. Yeah, everything else on my phone is loading fine, just not this note. So that's great. Okay, initial thoughts. All right. Without I don't know how to not give away like an I love you, I know, because I don't know if I have one specific thing. I mean, I think I do. But man, so many things. And I'm usually not, I think, the one on our program that finds so many things. But this is like one of my favorite episodes of the Bad Batch of all time.
Nice.
I was just in Dagobah. And I was on Octo the whole time, and I noticed a few things. So, obviously, we find Asajj.
Don't get into those. Don't get into details. Tell us your feelings. We got them all listed. We'll talk about them later. It's coming. It's coming. Don't put the cart before the horse.
So don't talk about touching the sea monster. Don't. I mean,
we will.
I feel okay.
I think you've given your emotions.
I was so ready to see this. I didn't know how ready I think that I was for this moment for Omega, even though she didn't display any particular evidence of using the Force. Finally reaching this, I don't know, this like release that we've been waiting for of at least a conversation on the show in the script about her Force abilities.
Yeah.
It's here and it's real now. And to think all the way back to the beginning of the show, which is, it makes me a little emotional how the journey we're on with this podcast and how excited we were 3 years ago when this show came out and we had this to cover as like new Star Wars. We felt this in our bones in the beginning. And so it's just so validating, I think, to see this episode. And I thought Asajj was incredible in this episode. I love seeing, which we've seen before, the bad guy turn good in her kind of thing. But like just seeing that again was so special. And it feels like obviously the more good has, there is good in her still. I mean, there's so much like Star Wars lore in this 26-minute long episode of this animated series, and I'm bummed I only got to watch it once, honestly, because as I was watching it, you're trying to calm me down and not get the cart before the horse, because even just in one viewing, there were so many moments where I was like, oh, that's that, and oh, that's that, and oh, I'm inside your brain, Dave Filoni. And I just wish I could have watched it one more time before we started recording. But I have a 3-month-old, and that's just not in the cards. Yeah,
I watched it again immediately before this. I finished it at like 5 till.
Same.
And just like you're saying, all of those things as they're coming out of everyone's mouths, you're like, it's that. And it's double the second time. There are so many more details. They're everywhere because the way they're spread out a little bit, it's hard to catch it all. But when you're looking for it, it's like every sentence is a callback almost. It's pretty sick. All right, let's again.
I haven't looked at the note. I will. I haven't looked at the note, but I have one thing that wasn't a line that I don't know if is like in the den or anything like that. So I almost hope it isn't, so that for once on this show, you guys might be like, "Oh, good job, Ryan. You found something."
Well, I feel like a lot of things that we typically put in the den, callbacks and things, I have in the discussion because there's just more to
It's
talk
like
about.
too many. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just list it.
Cool.
Emotional conversations. All right, so let's get into stolen plans and then get right into talking.
All right.
What have you done with those plans?
Season 3, Episode 9, The Harbinger, debuted today, March 27th, 2024 on Disney+. Everybody noticed the new Disney Plus logo?
Yes.
Great colors.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. Also, can I be... they talk about Gen Alpha right now being illiterate on the internet. Is it Harbinger or Harbinger? Harbinger. Let's start that over. Season 3, Episode 9, The Harbinger, debuted today, March 27th, 2024 on Disney+. New Disney Plus logo. It was very sick. I noticed it right away. It's on like your Apple TV too, like the actual Disney Plus home logo. Disney Plus description: as the batch plans their next move, a mysterious stranger arrives. Runtime 27 minutes, directed by Stuart Lee, written by showrunner Jennifer Corbett. No new characters other than the return of Nika Futterman as Asajj Ventress with a new haircut. It's pretty sick too. Did you guys notice like when they were underwater and she came out and she had like the Brad Pitt Fury cut going on?
Yeah, full mohawk. Yeah,
definitely.
She also voiced a Pabu villager.
Yeah, the only other character, right?
Yeah, and she kind of sounded like Omega too, right? Like she had a New Zealand accent, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. While we're talking about Ventress returning, let's get straight into it. Let's get straight into discussion. How did Ventress find them? She says, "I have my ways."
Mm-hmm.
We've been told that Pabu is a safe place. We've also, though, on the other side of the coin, been waiting to see when this like aerial attack is going to happen that we saw in the trailer very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Any ideas? Have you guys thought about this?
I don't know. I have no clue. And at the end of the episode, she says something along the lines of, "You guys should leave because you're not as safe here as you think." And so that's kind of, it's a little sketchy. I really have no clue because who else would know where they are? I mean, that's why they're always there, because they just feel safe and they're like off the grid, sort of.
Have other clones been there?
I'm not sure.
Like, has Hauser been there?
I don't remember.
Did they extract some information?
I think this doesn't work because of the tests. Like, she's there and she does the tests, and it seems that she's legitimately trying to discern whether or not, I'm going to use big smart words for the rest of the show because I didn't know that it was Harbinger, whether or not Omega is truly force sensitive, if her M count is high enough and all. But like, there's the concept of like force timing each other, or like being connected through the force. Like Asajj is wicked powerful with the force, and is there anything to like simplify it? It's just that she that I have my ways is I was able to sense that you were here. I don't know.
Yeah, that is a good call.
You know?
Yeah. I like that.
I mean, because we have it that we don't know what, the level of midichlorian is in her blood, and we don't know what her force sensitivity is when I'm speaking about Omega. But we know that it's something. I mean, we know, the whole early in the season, the whole blood vial dial episode. I mean, we know that there's something going on with her blood that makes her very, very important. We've always known this, but I'm just saying it's confirmed that she's very, very important. So I think, in my mind, that is actually what I thought while watching the show. When she said, "I have my ways," I thought that was a sly sort of, I'm one with the force and I can find you. I knew she was here.
She doesn't have a blue or green lightsaber in hand. It's yellow. She's still riding the line. Is she still messing with the magics?
Yeah.
Is she looking into the crystal ball, so to speak, into the pool? You know what I mean? Like, she's really working the force. Yeah, clearly.
There was let me see who said it, and I was going to leave it for favorite moments. There was Physics Buddy Joe said there was a lot of light and dark in this episode, and there is the final conversation between Ventress on the left hand of the screen and the Batch on the right hand of the screen is literally just Ventress is in a shadow, and the other guy and the Batch is in the light. So,
Dude,
you know,
I'm
she
glad
might
you
not
said
be
that.
able to be trusted here. So
Yeah, because that's at the front of the episode as well. When she's in the cave, you can see it. This could be a subtle thing. This could be very much intentional, because caves are used in mythology. I mean, it's a big archetypal device. You know what I mean? Trials in caves.
Omega is literally walking into the cave to begin her trials.
Exactly.
It's
yeah.
intense.
Dragons in caves, all kinds of stuff. It's like all over mythology. And the first few shots, Ventress, it's almost complete blackness behind her in the cave, and it flips to the opposite angle of the Batch, and they have like sunlight and sky and all this like warmth and light behind them. So like the deeper metaphor, if you really want to get heady with it, is that Ventress is actually coming out of the dark from this dark past, this dark history, and the Bad Batch is coming out of a time of like glory, and they're like war heroes. The Grand Army of the Republic, they're going away from the light into this dark time. The Empire, the Imperial era. So I thought that was beautiful. That was kind of striking to me at the beginning. I didn't notice the end part, Nick. Is it when they're standing at the ship, or what is it?
It's I'm pretty sure like their last conversation.
Like when she's saying goodbye and telling them that they should leave because they're not as safe as they thought they were. And I thought Nick too. I thought like, does that mean she's like double? She's bait and switching them. It's a double cross of a triple cross of a double cross. Like she's like going to tell But I don't think so. I do, Adam. I think it's more metaphoric, like you're talking about, in that like they're using the lighting to sort of continue to tell the story of the emotional journey of the characters, not that Ventress is like a double agent and she's about to go stab them in the back.
Well, here's the other
because I think
thing.
she just saw so much in Omega, like she's not she's not stabbing them in the back.
Yeah,
I don't think
she also can't really, like, if the Empire's searching for people with high midichlorian counts, she can't go hand her over.
Yeah, no, she's definitely on the list.
Show her face. Yeah,
you can't be a drug dealer and like bring a dude who tried to shoot you to the police station.
The cave, though. I mean, once the episode progressed, and I know we're gonna get into all these throwbacks, but like as the episode progressed, the cave. I mean, I was just dude, the cave and the cave underneath the island. That Rey. I don't know if it's in the notes. I just want to talk. I'm not looking. I have a Rey thing that just blew my mind. So let's carry on.
Stuff. Ventress, in keeping with this hope that she is truly, if not good, at least not evil. She says straight up, "I'm not your enemy." She doesn't want to kill them. She doesn't attempt to kill them, even though she could. Omega points that out. Omega talks about having forgiven Crosshair despite all of his.
When she said, "I didn't ever give up on you," did I?
Yeah. Take that, bud. She says to the Bad Batch, Ventress does, "We were pawns in the same war, and we all lost." Very Maul-esque.
Great line.
The Empire is more dangerous than you could possibly fathom. So the dramatic irony here is they don't know what an M count is. They don't know what a Sith is.
Mm-hmm. And you get the feeling that she's been like on the run.
Yeah,
like she knows how dangerous they are. They're hunting anyone with Force abilities.
Yeah, which makes me hope that the stuff with Quinlan and the Path is already in motion, and she's already reunited with him. We'll talk about that later. She says, "I am many things, but I am not your enemy." Let's get into this.
That to me is she's not. I mean, the bigger picture of like she can't do it because they'll catch her and they'll she's Force sensitive, but that's like her character really validating and turning to the light.
Yeah.
I'm not your enemy. I mean, that's not a dark side user's line.
No.
Let's
get into this testing in the cave, the trials, so to speak. So Ventress tests Omega's M count and abilities. She says, "They said the word. They finally said the word."
So funny, yeah. I was like, "Oh, okay."
she says, I can't determine your midichlorian levels without testing you. Omega asks her to be tested. Here we go, Ryan. She says she can handle it, which is a great callback to Luke on Dagobah. I'm not afraid. And Ventress says the truth is rarely comforting. What is that?
You
that
will
calls
be.
back to something else.
I mean, it's.
I guess that's that too. Yeah.
It's her saying.
Yeah.
You don't want to find out because you will be scared.
Yeah. F around and find out. M count around and find out. She wants to know if that's why the Empire's been after her. She says, I need to know what I am, which of course is reminiscent of Rey on Octo. I need someone to show me my place in all of this. 3 tests. Ventress does 3 tests. Again, Octo, Luke. Balance on one foot on a slippery rock with an apple on top of your head. Balance and focus, I'm assuming, right? Focus, keeping attention away from surrounding stuff, right? Go get a flower from the top of the mountain. That seems like a test of will. That doesn't seem like a...
And I feel like she cheated too. So I was like, that's not very Jedi.
Yeah. Or is she testing like determination, resourceefulness? Like there could be...
But we're not,
resourceful.
We're not finding out if she's a Jedi. We're finding out
True.
if she's force sensitive, which could involve... let us remember, Luke was a whiny little bee, and then all of a sudden was wearing all black and was a Jedi Master. Like,
yep.
Get there as quick as you need to. There is the Jedi that's a blurry thing now, especially now.
The next one, the final one, get in the boat, loser. We're gonna go reach out to the Force and talk to aquatic wildlife. That that's just the straight up Force sensitivity test, I suppose, of the 3. But they're all reminiscent of different tests we've seen in the past. Luke with Rey, Yoda with Luke in terms of, he didn't lay it out like that, but he did put him through a few different things, The big one being...
She says this is a waste of time.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm wasting my time.
So here's the list.
So go. But I was gonna say, when I say right now, I don't mean in the timeline of Star Wars, because obviously this is before that. Yeah. I just mean for the storytellers right now, for them to be able to pull from those moments in the past for us to like bring back and make us feel these emotions again by telling the same story with different characters in a new way. It's so sick.
Enough questions. Concentrate. That's of course Yoda. Clear your mind of questions, right? It's too slippery. It's too far away. The sun's already started. Blah blah blah. This is all Luke whining. This is a waste of our time. It's all of that. It just kind of distributed differently. It's too far away, and the sun's already started. All of this like this complaining about what can't be done.
And that is why you fail.
Exactly. And then Ventress turns around. She communicates with the big sea monster, and Omega's like, "You actually did it," and she says, "Don't sound so surprised." It's just it's fully like just like smart ass, dark side leaning Yoda. It's just like snarky Ventress versions of all of that, and it's so dope.
Can you guys? This is super far fetched, I think, but I thought about it when she put her hand on that sea monster. And is there an instance that you can think of? Maybe because maybe in all 9 billion episodes of the Clone Wars, there's one that I'm not thinking of. But is there something you can think of other than baby Ahsoka, Rey with the snake thing, and this, where the actual like force touch communication with some type of beast or monster or animal that was meant to do harm, that connection was formed? That while I was watching it, I thought about Rey, and I thought about from Tales of the Jedi when baby Ahsoka. And I only bring it up to say that Ahsoka and Rey are both not they're not Jedi. They're not the classic trained right. They have, you can't say Ahsoka has any dark side blood in her. That's not really, but
Yeah.
Rey. I just thought of Asajj and Rey, and like how Rey has this conflicting bloodline in her, and she's good and bad.
Here's one. Grogu and the Rancor.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And then there's Ezra and the Purgle.
There you go.
Yeah.
Also not a Jedi.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything to that. It's just like there's all these sort of like anti-Jedi that are doing good, that have been able to reach out and touch a creature to like calm them and stop them. And we've never seen. I don't recall ever seeing a Jedi in robes that's just like, I am a light side user. That's it. I'm a Jedi.
Yeah.
Do that. So I don't know. I thought there was something to that, to Asajj being not. She doesn't subscribe to one creed, and therefore she's like more in tune with the wild. She's more in tune with like
a natural connection.
Nature. Yes, it's a natural connection to the Force. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not an indoctrinated connection to the Force.
Here's the final and best example. Making physical contact with an animal. If you need some green milk, there's only one way to get it. It's through physical contact.
Pump it out. Well, I thought also in that moment, I was thinking about Luke and the Rancor and how he had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
And he had been trained, I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely not. It doesn't seem like a traditionally trained temple Jedi kind of thing at all.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of us have read enough stuff, enough off-screen stuff to really make that call. But I'm with you on that for sure. All right, the big question: is Omega Force sensitive or not? We're not going to fully answer it here, but here's some things to consider. Let's discuss. She has a high M count. We've established that. Or does she? I don't know. Her blood is a candidate for the thing that they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is still slightly up for debate. Ventress says, when describing what a midichlorian count or what midichlorians are, she says it's something in the blood. Everyone has it, but at varying levels. Those with a high count were believed to be more capable of wielding the Force.
It's great hearing the words "everyone has it" because I feel like I don't. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
Like you bring up Han and all this stuff. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's really cool to hear that because I don't remember an instance where it was just like, yeah, no, everyone has it.
Right. Hunter says, the Force? You mean Jedi? And Omega.
I think. Sorry,
it.
I think everything has it. That's how. That's
It's
the
in all
living
living
Force.
things. Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Go ahead.
And Omega, she blows her cover because she's trying to play like, oh, I'm asking for a friend. She says, you're saying I'm a Jedi? She says, of course not. Your blood doesn't make you a Jedi. You'd have to be trained for that. And I've never known a clone to be Force sensitive, but clearly none of you are normal. The Kaminoans did make millions of you, so I suppose it's possible. Agreed. I mean, all of that stuff supports, Nick, like you just said, our kind of general thoughts, our general philosophy that we talk about all the time. And it's in line with like the idea that Sabine could be trained. So I think this question of like whether or not someone is Force sensitive, I have a feeling that they're just not going to answer it, or they're going to address it in a more like, well, what do you think kind of way, and she will prove herself or not.
Like, we're not gonna get my dream thing of her like stopping a ship from crashing or something and killing Wrecker, like she's just all of a sudden gonna fucking.
Or maybe
we do.
Maybe we do, or maybe because she's got this, she seems to have this empathy, this like emotional intelligence. Maybe it'll be the kind of thing where she reaches out and she saves someone by speaking to them through the Force in a moment of panic, and they know to move, and that's what saves that person or the whole thing. You know what I mean? That would be as cool in a different way, I think.
There was did you guys notice the one musical cue where I think she was balancing on a rock with the apple on her head, and
the first two notes?
Yeah, the first two notes.
Yeah. So
Bro, this is why we're friends.
So that's her theme, but the first two notes are undeniable. So has that been her theme
Yeah, I
the whole
don't know.
time with that clue just dangling and none of us picking up on it until it got isolated in that like flute version.
It was remarkable. It was like, oh, is this
Yeah.
happening? And then it didn't.
It was rather pronounced.
Yep.
Interesting thing, when Hunter says, "What do you want with Omega?" Ventress says, "Maybe I'll take her off your hands." That was giving me like kind of Maul and Ezra vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe this is my new apprentice.
Yeah, I mean, when you are, think about Jedi and youngling, like you're literally taken from your home. So
Yeah.
it could have just been exactly an apprentice.
But then at the end, Ventress tells her she doesn't have a high M count. But I also called bullshit immediately. Like this is some Matrix Oracle stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like what
There is no spoon.
kind of like Hu Yang with Sabine. I felt like that was a callback to that. Even if Hu Yang was being genuine, I don't know. I got the impression that he was kind of telling her what she needed to hear. And maybe this is just what Omega needs to hear, or what the Bad Batch needs to hear. Because ultimately, like, they're going to have to, I was about to say they're going to have to give her up at some point, but maybe not, because she's older than them. She's going to outlive them. She's not going to be an adult until they're old as hell. I don't know.
They're all going to die.
They're all going to die. They're like her dogs, She's going to outlive them. And then Crosshair responds, to Ventress saying she doesn't have a high M count. He says, "You're lying." And Ventress says, "If Omega did have that potential, she'd have to be trained, which would mean you'd be leaving her behind."
Which is exactly why you call bullshit on her saying she doesn't have a high M count. She
Yeah.
contradicts herself in the next line that she
Yeah.
speaks.
Yeah.
I also saw that as a way of her protecting the Bad Batch, like her kind of projecting that they're not going to want to lose her. Like they're not going to want to give her up.
She's an
So
asset.
she said that to be like, listen, you're not going to want to get rid of her. So I'm not going to tell her that she could be a Jedi because she's going to want to leave or something.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be very on brand for Omega to like look at them and be like, "Trust me, I'm leaving. I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
I have to go do this. She's got that wandering spirit, that adventure in her. I mean, after they, fight that giant crustacean thing in the ocean, she gets on the ship and she's like, "That was kind of fun."
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she's gonna leave. You're right. She would. If Asajj was like, "You are not a Jedi, but you have it, and I can train you. Come with me." I think she would say, "Sorry, boys, I gotta go."
She definitely seems to be playing kind of both sides of it, and maybe this is from her Sith training. You kind of, the way they ultimately, like, Palpatine was setting up Dooku and Anakin as potential, and whoever came out on top was going to be his apprentice, right? So having learned that, when she says, even if you have Force potential, they can't show you how to tap into it. So in one breath, she's saying you don't, and don't worry about it, kid. This is, you're just a shit show. And on the other hand, she's like, well, if you do, I'm the one, So it's like kind of win-win for her. She doesn't have to commit. But then if Omega proves herself, she can commit with less risk.
I love the idea that now, I don't know how much of this we'll see, or how much will be written, but Omega is forever changed by this. She's never going to stop thinking about this. It's never going to leave her mind.
Well,
she's wondering if she has it or not.
Well, one thing too is that the first time she saw the Force, there hasn't been an instance where she saw the Force, right?
Yeah,
I don't think there is.
I wonder that, like, how even the word Jedi, how many times has she heard that, and who does she hear it from?
I mean, she walked in and saw Asajj holding Wrecker in the air, force choking him. I mean, straight up Darth Vader force choking him. So
but
he had his hands around his neck, like.
But aside from Palpatine's big speech where they were all in the room, I assume she was there too. I don't remember. Yeah, right. It's season 1, episode 2 or 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Hunt down all the remaining Jedi or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how much has she heard about Jedi? Anybody in the chat? Let us know if you can remember a time, because it does like give notes of Rey, the Jedi were real, kind of thing, or something. Is it that? Yeah, the Force. Yeah, that whole thing. Luke Skywalker. I thought he was a myth. That kind of thing. Interesting. All right. Anything else before we get into the den? Because we have some Ventress back story stuff to talk about in that.
No, we're good.
All right, let's do it.
For over 1,000 generations.
It is the Darksaber.
Run! Oh gosh!
It's a Calicori.
A Sith Wayfinder.
Dark science. Cloning. Secrets only the Sith knew.
Back to you, Nick Amber.
All right. Before we get into some of the deeper Dark Disciple talk, we could talk about Ventress's snake logo on her shoulder pauldron. There are a lot of animatics for this era of Ventress's look, because Dark Disciple, the novel, was originally a Clone Wars arc. So her look right now comes from Clone Wars Season 4 concept art, and from StarWars.com. It says it was chosen since snakes are an often misunderstood creature that are assumed to be dangerous or evil when in fact they are not. And if you did notice, the snake on her shoulder did look like the same shape. I don't know if shape is the right word, as the sea monster's eye.
Yeah, the
and
retina,
they did focus on that too, which was kind of strange.
or not the retina, the pupil, like that
Yeah.
squiggly pupil.
Mm-hmm. Kind of
Yeah, right up in
interesting.
it, you're right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So then, something we've been asking for months: how is Asajj alive? We still don't really know. Everyone assumed she died in this novel, Dark Disciple, and like I said, that was a Clone Wars arc that had animatics. It was written. Clone Wars was canceled, and it never became a TV show or an arc in the TV show. So Christy Golden wrote the book. She wrote a bunch of Legends novels and short stories, a few canon novels and short stories, including Battlefront 2 Inferno Squad. So the story of Dark Disciple mostly revolves around Asajj Ventress and Jedi Master Quinlan Vos. Takes place 19 years before the Battle of Yavin. And basically the Jedi Council decides that Dooku needs to go. Kind of harsh, for the Council, but it was the Clone Wars. So Yoda actually decides that Dooku needs to be assassinated. So he sends Quinlan, and he teams up with Asajj to kill Count Dooku. And there's a couple of failed attempts along the way. The two of them fall in love. And also at a certain point, Asajj teaches Quinlan the ways of the dark side, knowing that he's such a good Jedi that, he's not going to be able to take someone's life for no reason or whatever. So Asajj basically teaches him how to tap into the dark side, which kind of slightly backfires because he really does become dark side for a bit. And in the final assassination attempt, Dooku is pretty much beaten, but Quinlan has that all too familiar, like, take me to your leader, take me to Sidious because I want to kill him too, because I want to gain power. That typical, like, seeing all the power that you could have, which all of that backfires. Dooku shoots some force lightning at Asajj, at Quinlan. Asajj blocks it, and for what we knew at the time, killing Asajj with the force lightning. So what's interesting here is, I haven't read the book, but everyone assumed she was dead. Asajj was dead.
Except for the line that you're about to read.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
So she is brought to Dathomir. She's laid to rest by Quinlan Vos and Obi-Wan in a dark pool. Night Sister magic. We all know that she's a Night Sister. And as Ventress's body enters the waters, the pool turns green, and the voices of the spirits of the deceased Night Sisters are heard welcoming Ventress back. So, it's vague.
Yeah. The only
from a certain point of view, right?
Yeah. So my first thought is when they've reanimated people in the past, they've been full zombie style. We saw it in the Clone Wars. We saw it in Ahsoka. So, I mean, it's hard to say. Who knows? They could completely just write some stuff from scratch. But at the same time, there is a detail that I read about. Obi-Wan and Quinlan had her in stasis kind of while they were, I guess, reporting to the council, right? Did you read about this as well? So there's like a little bit of time goes by. It's not like she dies and they go straight to Dathomir. They go back to the council, and I think there's a trial for Quinlan because he, having used the dark side, obviously they're concerned, right? So I don't know the details, but in that time, her body's kind of held in stasis. And then they take her to Dathomir for burial. So is there a chance that she did not actually die? And in that meantime, she was, they had her in a Bacta tank. They had something, and she was near death but not dead. And then taking her back to Dathomir was like suppose she's in a coma, right? Like, we can't do much else. Let's take her back to Dathomir. Maybe they can do something. They put her in a pool. She lives.
Well, even if they thought she was dead and she wasn't, if that's the theory that you have, and sure could be. I mean, William Shakespeare wrote a play that everyone on the planet knows where the hero was lying next to his love and and couldn't tell that she was still alive.
Right.
I mean, fantasy, obviously, but nonetheless, I mean, aren't there real life stories of like old men and women who they're like, oh, that's it, put them in the box, and then they're like,
yeah, hello,
let me out. So I mean,
I'm feeling better.
There you go.
Yeah,
there's so little oxygen going in that you just can't tell, but it's going in.
And then at the end, she says in response to, I forgot which one of the batch says something about the Empire coming to get her. And she says, they can try, but I've got a few lives left. Yeah, that's a clever line, and that's pulling from, both cats have 9 lives or whatever you would say in this universe. But maybe there's something to that more literally. Maybe she's actually alluding to something more literal.
Mm-hmm. I don't think it's cloning anymore, but whenever I hear lives, I don't know. Cloning exists in Star Wars, so I'm keeping that door open. I don't really think that that's what's happening here, because I think it's more likely it's a Magic's Night Sister scenario. I hope we find out. I hope it's not. I hope that the quote from a couple of weeks back or months back when we saw the trailer in StarWars.com, Jennifer Corbett and Brad Rao, I think, said we are respecting the canon from Dark Disciple.
Right.
I hope that this line that we just read isn't necessarily what they're talking about, where it's there's wiggle room there. We respected that, I hope there is some sort of reason given.
Yeah. I think
if not, though, I'm going to go with Adam, that little tidbit you found, and I've got lives left is just a fun, sarcastic remark on her way out. I've been through hell. That's basically what that means. Don't worry about me, I'll survive.
That could also
I've already died once. I can handle it again, kind of thing.
That could also be a reference to the fact that when you turn to the dark side, your old self kind of dies. She turns away. That version of her dies as well. It could be alluding to multiple things. Yeah. Either way, she's back. And I hope she's back for a while, because the way it ties in with Quinlan, and Quinlan having been part of the path, and also to you, Ryan, having played Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, knowing that Cal Kestis founded the path, the hidden path, there's just so much fun potential. And even though this is the last season of this series. I hope there's another animated series brewing that isn't just Tales of the Jedi or something. I like The Path. The
There
Path
has to be.
itself could be an animated series. And we'll cover it, of course, on this podcast. Why wouldn't we? It'd be stupid if we didn't. All right, bingo card results. Guess what? Nothing. Good job.
You're hired.
We do Zach the Maker. Good reference there. I've died before. Palpatine's quote from The Rise of Skywalker. I do need to post the bingo card results. Also, I haven't done that yet because it's just been so dismal and it's embarrassing. So I was waiting till we had a few more. But somebody in the chat, I forgot who's doing it, which one of the patrons is doing it, has a tally going, and it doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. So maybe I'll do it this week and give everybody a status update. Let's get on to I Love You, I Know.
I love you.
I know.
Favorite scenes, favorite moments, favorite quotes. Ryan Key, you want to go first?
Sure. It's just hard with this one. Because there were some really great moments and quotes that like threw back to I mean, really the original trilogy and the Luke and Yoda training, you know, that's where I was living in my mind the whole episode. But there weren't quotes that were like so poignant that like really jumped out, you know, even within that. So I guess I would go with hold on, going back. You actually did it. Don't sound so surprised. I mean, because to me that was just, you know, I loved obviously the moment leading up to that. I rambled on about whatever random theory I just had about how Luke couldn't reach out and touch the Rancor, but why can these other, non-Jedi Force users do this with these beasts? So I was like really into that moment, and I thought it was that anytime when we've been living in, you know, the Bad Batch with all the combat and the blasters, and then you get this moment of peace and this moment of connection to the Force, it's super impactful. And so I was in the zone, and then to have that exchange of you actually did it, don't sound so surprised, literally being, I can't believe it, that is why you fail. That, I mean, it was just really, that in itself was pretty poignant to me, even though I feel like don't sound so surprised is not as rad as that is why you fail. But yeah, I really loved that moment when Omega realized how powerful the Force actually is.
Don't act so surprised, Your Highness. You weren't on a mercy mission or whatever. Nick.
Hello. There.
You go ahead and do yours, and I'll do mine, then do the
I have one scene, one quote. I love how not one member of the Bad Batch hits Asajj at all during when they were fighting. She beat the hell out of them.
Whooped him.
They did not get one lick in at all.
No.
So funny. And then there was something last night when I was watching it about this quote that I liked because I just thought it was badass. Close your eyes and reach out, Asajj says. Omega says, for what? And Asajj says, everything. And I was like, badass. But then when I was rewatching it again today, it reminded me of in Rise of Skywalker when Kylo's talking to Palpatine. And I think Kylo says something like, what can you give me, or what can you do for me? And he just says everything, you know, and it's like, thing. Yeah, it's so cool. So those are definitely my favorite too.
My favorite quote, I think, is the Ventress quote that calls back to the Maul discussion with Ahsoka. We were pawns in the same war, and we all lost. The Empire is more dangerous than you could possibly fathom. I thought that was so sick. Mm-hmm. And then, I can't call this a single scene, but the sequence from the training to the discussion afterwards, all of it in there, all these, like Ryan, you're saying, tons of little bits that aren't necessarily poignant, but all of the callbacks and the tone of it that whole middle section, put aside the sea monster thing, put aside kind of the bigger parts. It's just like the discussions, the acknowledgments, the score, like all that midsection stuff is just so great to me. But I do love I do love the Empire. Like any of that, like acknowledgement of what Palpatine did and finding common ground, even though you're maybe enemies, is so sick. It's like the best kind of dramatic tension in writing. That stuff with Maul and Ahsoka in the final season of the Clone Wars is top tier Star Wars. So this gets filed in that same folder, and I love it. What about the patrons? What are their favorites, Nick?
Well, thanks to all the patrons for being super organized. Physics buddy Joe got the favorite moments started off when he said, when Crosshair held out his hand and helped Omega, I was on the edge of my seat to see if he'd offer a hand to Asajj too. Then on the edge of my seat again to see if she'd accept the hand. Huge character growth for both, and I think they both know that a year ago neither of them would have been like this. I can't really tell if she accepts Crosshair's hand. It's kind of like a, like she does grab his hand, but also kind of looks like she pushes it down a little bit. So I don't know if that's like a clean, I'm accepting your help, like walking up the ramp sort of thing. So interesting.
What you didn't see off screen is she pushed it down and turned around and farted on it.
Yeah. Easter egg.
We were making a really good podcast.
Director's cut. You guys didn't notice that? It was in the director's cut. It was in the screeners that we got because we're a huge podcast.
Yeah. We get the fart versions. They're like, oh yeah, thank the maker, give him the fart episode. My nerd story says, favorite quote was Omega, if she's as bad as you say, why didn't she kill you when she had the chance? And Wrecker replies, oh, we were just getting warmed up. And they say that it reminded of the Black Knight in Monty Python.
Yes. It's just a flesh wound.
Yeah, in the Shadows of the Empire says what similar to what we like. They can try, but I've got a few lives left. That was their favorite line. What else do we got here? TK Ryan is loving the wise sensei Asajj. Gorgeously animated, easily beating the hell out of the batch. Yes, very easy. I think I saw like an MMA armbar in there too. There was something going on.
And then what's the thing where you over the shoulder like the stunner something kind of thing?
Yeah, I didn't see a
back thing where you slam. Was that a thing?
I have to watch again. I didn't notice.
The armbar was full effect.
And K. Dykeman 1990 says that they loved the sunset, which was beautiful. The animation always good in the Bad Batch. Also partial to yellow lightsabers. That's another. That's 2 weeks in a row we've gotten some yellow lightsabers, which is great between the Acolyte and Asajj. And also the quote, many who wield the Force have an affinity for nature. They connect with things that respond to their energy, which is very cool.
I mean, it's like it's just Yoda and Luke. It was so good.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Also,
and wrapping up with sorry, go for it.
Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. I mean, it was a simpler, again, for a younger audience, explanation of these things.
In the words of Master Jedi Nick Hexum, amber is the color of your energy.
Happy belated 311 day, everyone. Wrapping up with a favorite moment from Stacey Leanne, the quote from Omega, I never gave up on you, did I? To Crosshair.
Nailed it.
Man. That look on his face with the toothpick, I'm so glad he's back, dude. It's just elevated the show.
Absolutely.
His turn,
Till he's dead. All right.
You're on the right now, bro.
Just really feeling it. All right. Next week, speaking of dark stuff, the Empire's coming to Pabu. Like, it's happening. They don't pair up 2 episodes without something big like that. We're gonna see that aerial battle. It's gonna get gnarly. It's gonna be sick. My prediction is, I'm gonna change out all my bingo squares, and it's gonna say, These episodes are sick, and then I just have to check them all.
How many episodes we have left?
There's 15, right? We're on 9.
Okay.
And we have 2 next week, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the last 4 like like the final 4 of Clone Wars. I think it's gonna be no more
mini
giant
movie.
no more giant crustaceans in the ocean. It's just gonna really gonna take it home.
Yeah, it's either gonna finish strong and we're all gonna be happy, or it's not and we're all gonna be sad. It can only go 2 ways. I think it's gonna be great.
I have a little bit of unfortunate news. I have no Wednesdays off on tour.
Ugh.
So it's going to be a little tricky for me to record. I'm sure I'll figure it out here and there, but no Wednesdays off.
When do you leave?
I leave this Sunday. Our first show is a week from tonight in Pittsburgh.
All right. Well, I'll call in a bomb threat on the night of the finale.
Is that a force majeure? Do we still get our money?
I would only not be able to record Wednesdays daytime for like the middle 2 weeks of April. Depending on how many weeks we have left, so we could move it up, like the time up, and I could just not be there for those 2 weeks, or whatever. You could not, but
we'll figure it out. I'm bringing all my stuff with me.
We could move up the recording time for everyone.
Word. Either way, we'll figure it out. We'll cover it all the way to the end, and then we got only a little bit of downtime, only a couple months really of figuring out what to talk about Star Wars. There's going to be plenty, but then we got the Acolyte coming up.
Yeah, I mean it's like a month, right? When was it? June? What?
Yeah, I guess so. It's
only about a month.
Yeah, I think it'll be like 4 weeks off of no new content.
Perfect.
Sick. How it should be. All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, patrons. Thanks for being patrons and participating. We appreciate you. We love you. And until next week, may the Force be with you. If you enjoy Thank the Maker, you can support us by following and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Or you can support us directly at patreon.com/thankthemakerpod, where you can get access to our Discord server, exclusive content, exclusive merch, our recording live stream, and more. Our patrons quite literally make Thank the Maker possible. You.